Hey, MegaPodTastics, Krazy Joe here, and I saw Spider-Man Homecoming last night, and I wanted to tell you, I think it's great. I think it's really, really good. It is the best Spider-Man movie since Spider-Man 2. Now, I know what you're thinking. Hey, Krazy Joe, that's not exactly high praise, because Spider-Man 3 and the Amazing Spider-Man movies were either terrible to lackluster or somewhere in between. You're right. I realize that is not exactly high praise, but what can I say? It's really good. It's really, really good. It's a fun movie. It has a good sense of humor. It's a lot of humor. It's been described as, if you're a fan of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the Marvel movies have varied tones. For example, Ant-Man was the crime caper film, and Guardians of the Galaxy was the sci-fi film. And this one has been described all through the making as the John Hughes movie. This was going to be the John Hughes movie. It's a very good description. It feels like a John Hughes movie. They really captured that sense. I got to see it again to totally make up my mind on this, but it might be the best Spider-Man movie ever made, and it's the 6th Spider-Man movie we've had so far, so saying it's better than 5 others. I'm gonna switch which hand I'm holding this camera in. Hold on a second. There we go. Yeah, I think it very likely could be the best of the bunch. I gotta see it again before I make that decision, because Spider-Man 2 is really good, so that's tough competition. But I'll tell you this, Spider-Man 1 and 2 with Tobey Maguire, they did not quite get the wisecracking Peter Parker down. Tobey Maguire did not do the wisecracking that Spider-Man is known for. Then you got that with Andrew Garfield, but they combined it with a more, I don't know. Did you notice Amazing Spider-Man? I don't think in the Amazing Spider-Man Part 1, not Part 2, but in Part 1, I don't think there's a single scene in that entire movie where Peter Parker is in the Spider-Man costume where it is not nighttime. Whenever he is Spider-Man in that movie, it is nighttime. And it was the first Spider-Man movie made after The Dark Knight, and I really think that they were like, The Dark Knight, people like The Dark Knight, that's what we're going to do. We're going to make this dark and grim like The Dark Knight. So I personally felt Amazing Spider-Man 1 got a lot right with the tone of Peter being more sarcastic, more wisecracking. That was more correct. However, that only see Spider-Man at night thing, that didn't work for me. That did not feel like Spider-Man. That felt more like I was watching Batman, where he only comes out at night. And the second movie remedied that, and we saw Spider-Man in daylight in Amazing Spider-Man 2, but everything else was wrong. So that movie was a disaster. So I kind of feel like, hey look, there's a big crow. It's a big crow right there. Now, the camera's deceptive. It looks like he's farther away from me than he actually is. He's actually closer than it appears on screen. He's pretty close. He actually let me get very close to him. Hello, Mr. Crow. He's looking at me now, like, why are you talking to me? So anyway, this movie, I think, balances the two. It gets the tone somewhere in a balance between where Tobey Maguire was and where Andrew Garfield was, in that we get the wisecracking, sarcastic Spider-Man that the Tobey Maguire movies kind of missed, but not quite as dark and grim as Amazing Spider-Man tried to be. It really finds the perfect balance. It's really great, and I do recommend it. I also want to talk about something that happened in the theater. Unfortunately, you know, I'm a huge proponent of movie theaters. I hate watching movies at home. I really am not a fan of the home experience. I like theaters. I think there's less distractions in a movie theater. People always go on about distractions in the theater. And of course, anytime you put a group of people together, there's going to be some. But I live in a house with children, so therefore I find the theater to be less distracting than being in a house with kids. Or pets. My dog, oh my God, if you have popcorn, my dog's not going to shut up. He's going to sit at your feet and whine. So if you get a big bucket of popcorn and sit down to watch a movie, that's not going to be a peaceful experience because you're going to have a dog whining at you for 2 hours. I prefer the theater for these and many other reasons. But last night was one of the few times I had a bad theater experience. Towards the end of the movie, within the last 20 minutes of the movie, 2 people started fighting in the theater. It didn't break into a fist fight, just loud arguing. Hey, get out of my seat. You better get out of my seat. If you don't get out of that seat, I am going to punch you. You do not belong in that seat. Just get up and find another seat. And they got louder and louder. Then audience members started yelling, shut up, you two. Well, the 2 people fighting stopped, but now kind of a precedent had been set because people started yelling back at them to shut up, and suddenly the theater got very chattery and people just started chatting amongst themselves like and there was like this low chatter for like the next 10 minutes as people just kind of talked to each other. It was almost like these guys fighting broke the silence. And now that the silence was broken, we couldn't quite get it back again because that gave other people license to talk. That was frustrating. It was annoying. But, I mean, what can you do? Didn't ruin the movie, though. The movie is great. And I say see it. It's one of the best films this summer. We've also had Baby Driver, which I said was really good. Wonder Woman is great. Guardians of the Galaxy 2 is great. So we're having a strong summer. There may have been some lackluster films, like I didn't see Transformers, but everyone says the new Transformers is terrible. I didn't see it, but I didn't like the other 4, so I don't exactly expect I would like the new one. But that doesn't mean there's nothing good out there. There is some really solid movies out there right now. Spider-Man, Baby Driver, Wonder Woman. If you could still find Guardians of the Galaxy, it's hitting Blu-ray next month. So we're only a month away from Guardians being on Blu-ray. So I don't think it's in anything. It's probably in a theater somewhere, some little second-run theater. If you haven't seen that yet, check it out. But, hey, next up, Planet of the Apes. So I'm excited about that one. So just thought I'd pop on, give my thoughts on Spider-Man. Keep on wearing those pajamas. Hey, I was thinking, there is a chain of restaurants around here. I don't know how widespread they are. I don't know if it's a nationwide chain, but here in the Philly area, there's a chain of restaurants called P.J. Wheelahands. And I went into P.J. Wheelahands before the movie yesterday to have dinner. And I started thinking, since our sign-off is keep on wearing those pajamas, and PJ is short for pajamas, maybe we should record a live episode of the podcast from PJ Wheelahands and bill it as live from PJ's in our PJs, and we wear our pajamas. Am I reaching here, or is that a fun idea? I think it's a fun idea. I think that could be fun. Live from PJ's in our PJs. Of course, I have to talk to the management of PJ Wheelahands. They may not be interested in hosting us, but I thought that could be a fun thing to do last night as I was eating my dinner. So let me know in the comments below. Live from PJ's in our PJs. Would you be interested in that? Would you listen to that podcast? Keep on wearing those pajamas.